Hold on to your helmets, folks. It's 1943 and the world is at war for the second time. The skies are no different and they are ablaze. The US Navy and Air Force are struggling to keep their planes in the air, with damaged aircraft dropping like flies. After bombing runs, damaged planes that make it back can be fixed, but unfortunately, many of them never do. The top brass wants to know how to fix the situation and suggests reinforcing the areas where planes are commonly shot. Seems like a good plan, right? Well, wrong. Enter the Center of Naval Analysis and a Hungarian statistician from Columbia University who's about to save the day. Get ready to take off with the first episode of StatCat, where we use statistics to catalyze our decision-making processes and learn how this one brilliant statistician used data to help the US military make a critical course correction that could mean the difference between life and death. Our hero's name is Abraham Wald, and he was a brilliant statistician who saved the day for the US Navy. When he looked at the data on damaged planes, he noticed a crucial flaw in the logic of reinforcing the most commonly damaged areas. You see, when planes made it back to base, they were inspected and repaired and a damage report was drafted. The damage to the planes was categorized into 4 areas: the fuselage, the engines, the fuel system, and everything else. Now, what's fascinating is that the data showed that the planes that made it back to base had less damage to the fuel system and engines compared to the other 2 areas. This is what made the top brass think that there was not as much of a need to reinforce those areas, and instead they should focus on reinforcing those areas that they thought were more commonly damaged, like the fuselage. That would surely make the planes more resilient, right? But here's the kicker. The damage to the fuel system and engines may have been less severe, but those areas were more crucial for the plane's ability to stay in the air. If they were damaged enough, the plane would not be able to stay airborne and would crash. Wald realized that the planes that were shot in the engines and the fuel system were more likely to crash and would not make it back to base. Therefore, they would not be included in the data to begin with. That is why it is precisely these areas of damage, which were mostly absent from the damage reports, the ones that should be reinforced. Thanks to Wald's insight, the US Navy was able to better protect their planes and pilots and save countless lives. This is what we now call survivorship bias. It is a type of statistical bias that occurs when we only look at the people or things that have survived or succeeded, and we ignore those that have failed or been eliminated. This is very similar to its cousin bias, the reporting bias, which is another type of bias that occurs when the information that is reported is not representative of the entire population. This can happen when certain groups or outcomes are more likely to be reported than others, leading to a skewed view of the data. Both of these can lead to incorrect conclusions because we are only looking at a biased sample of data. Survivorship bias is not just about life or death situations. It can also have a big impact on our understanding of successful entrepreneurs and companies. For example, when we hear about successful startups and entrepreneurs, we often focus on the ones that have made it big, like Amazon, Facebook, or Tesla. But what about all the other startups and entrepreneurs who have failed? They may have had great ideas, strong work ethics, and talented teams, but for some reason they were not able to make it work. Arguably, it is much more important to learn what catastrophic mistakes should be avoided, and that is hard to learn by only focusing on the most successful companies and individuals. Ignoring the failures and only looking at the successful ones can give us a skewed view of what it takes to succeed. It's like trying to learn how to swim by only watching videos of Olympic swimmers. We may get an idea of what perfect technique looks like, but we're not seeing all the hard work, the failures and mistakes that led to them to that point. In the world of startups, there are countless stories of entrepreneurs who failed multiple times before finally achieving success. But if we only focus on the success stories, we may think that success is just a matter of having a good idea and working hard. In reality, there are many factors that contribute to success, including luck, timing, market conditions, and more. By studying the failures as well as the successes, we may get a more complete picture of what it takes to succeed in the startup and professional world. Let's take a step back and remember that life is filled with random events. After all, that's why we need statistics, right? That is why we cannot downplay the concept of luck when we're analyzing survivors. Luck can play a huge role in many aspects of life, including career advancement. Let's say you're working in a company and you're up for promotion. You're confident in your skills, your experience, and your ability to do the job well. But then, the promotion goes to someone else. Someone you know who is not as qualified as you. But how can this be? How is this possible? Well, as unfair as it may seem, luck may have played a role in that decision. Perhaps the person who got the promotion simply happened to be in the right place at the right time when the opportunity came up. This could be as random as meeting a client while queuing at a hot dog stand, or bumping into your boss's boss at a wedding. But it could go the other way too. Maybe you happen to be working on a project that gets noticed by top management, or you make a connection with a key influencer in your field. None of these reasons have anything to do with your actual ability to do the job, but they can still affect the outcome. It is important to remember that luck plays a big role in success, and it's not something that we can always control. Much like a pilot cannot choose whether to get shot in the engine or in the fuselage, we do not choose many things about our lives, including where we were born, which is undeniably a big factor to success. However, by recognizing the role of luck, we can appreciate our successes and learn from our failures. We can also be more empathetic towards others who may not have had the same stroke of luck as us or the same opportunities. And we should avoid making assumptions about their abilities or worth based solely on their level of success. To finalize, let's look at some concrete tips to consider to avoid falling prey to survivorship bias. Number 1, look at the bigger picture. Don't just focus on the successes. Take a step back and look at the failures too. Number 2, understand the data source and what's missing. Always ask yourself, what events and examples could systematically be underrepresented? Number 3, don't ignore luck. Remember that luck plays a big role in success and failure, so it's important to consider it in your analysis. Remember that these are random events. Number 4, consider asking the opposite question. Instead of asking what made the successful individuals successful, ask what made the failures fail. Number 5, always be critical. Always question your own assumptions and biases when analyzing data. Remember, when it comes to data analysis, survivorship bias is just the tip of the iceberg. So be curious, stay alert, and always look for the full picture. Do you have your own examples of survivorship bias? Let us know in the comments below. If you like this video, please consider subscribing and hitting that like button. Thanks a lot, and bye.